and today I have Shadell and Ivana here, and I'm super excited to have them. I feel like their videos have a really unique twist on the self-reliance because it's really focusing in on what you can do in your home that's just normal. Instead of, really going outside of what is normal, you're taking what is normal in your home and you're making it better. So Shadell is going to start out and she's going to talk about her favorite essential oil that she's playing with right now, and then we're going to get into some questions. So you want to go ahead and tell us?
Sure. My favorite essential oils kind of change with the season, depending if it's winter, spring, or summer. So since it's spring, I'm really liking the uplifting smell of lemongrass. I kind of take my essential oils and shove them in my nose, so no one really wants to use.
That's a good warning.
After
Who cares? It's your oil. Recently, Shadell made some videos that I was absolutely in love with. My major is environmental science, and so sometimes environmental things or conservation can get really dull and really dry. And Shadell's take on it was very humorous and very realistic. When we saw you pin the diapers up, it was obvious the diapers had been used, and you looked so stinking cute in your scarf and your pink shirt. And so for me, it was just a very entertaining way to bring out something that a lot of people try to shy away from, or they think it's icky.
I grew up in South Florida, and my grandfather, he didn't teach me a lot, but what he did teach me was how to forage, how to garden, and how to fish. He taught me all the swear words I know as well. But he taught me those things, and I did those things. He would entice me to go and climb up these really high trees because he knew I could. And I just did. I'd take my shoes off and climb up these trees, these mango trees and starfruit trees and ackee trees. And it was such a great experience. And I look back on that part of my childhood with such fondness. But when I became a teenager, I became a consumer like everybody else. And I lost all of that. And when people are funny, it usually comes from a place of pain. And so my teenage years, I just lost every good thing that my grandfather gave me. And it wasn't until I married my husband and I found myself pushing him and driving him to make more so we could spend more. And he was so unhappy. He's Australian, and Australians are just so laid back. And he was like, I married this crazy American woman. And I think I told you when we were talking, I'd lost a lot of weight at one point in our marriage. And I wanted to be able to buy organic fruits and vegetables because I'd done some exploring on that area. And then, I just couldn't afford them. And so I knew I couldn't just keep pushing my husband. That wasn't going to work. And a friend came over, and it was this breakthrough moment. And all of a sudden, all my childhood memories just came flooding back on me. And she pointed out a window, and it was raining outside. And she goes, "You've got a backyard. You can grow your own fruits and vegetables." And it was like, duh. I know how to do this. My granddad, he taught me how to do this. I know it's in me. I can do this. And my first year, I grew like a sprig of lettuce, and that was it. I killed everything else. But by the time we moved from that house, we had 3 apple trees, a row of raspberries, blackberries, blueberries. We grew everything, and it was about a quarter of an acre. And we made it happen. We had chickens. But my husband was that reluctant spouse, and every time he came home and saw a part of our yard turned up and it was a new vegetable garden,
They never end.
So, no, I married this crazy American woman. No, it doesn't. And so that was kind of the start. My husband likes to joke around and say, "Oh, it started with some chickens," because we had these friends and they bought some urban chickens, and it was like this new experience for them. And I was like, I kind of want to do that too. And that's when my husband realized, okay, I know that this isn't going to end. She's going to take this as far as she can go, because that's the kind of personality I have. I take things as far as I can take them. And there's like these natural steps that you take when you first want to change your life. So I think for most homesteaders, preppers, the first step is you want to have a garden. And then it's like, well, now I want to learn how to can. Well, now I want to learn how to make everything that I use. And it's like these natural steps that we all take. And I took those steps just like everybody else does. Where we live now is a Superfund site, and that probably completely gives away where I live, but that's all right because we live off the main road and everyone sees us outside. But it is a Superfund site, and the ground is so toxic, and it's full of arsenic and heavy metals, and the kids can hardly play in the dirt for too long without me kind of freaking out and getting the heebie-jeebies. So gardening, unless it's in a container or a raised bed, is out. The rabbit, we let him kind of bounce around. We don't plan on eating him. So we let him, she shows her rabbit for 4-H. So we'll let him bounce around, but we couldn't, I couldn't imagine having chickens and letting them peck at the ground and then eating their eggs.
And being able to do things like dry clothes on a line and have a little bit of a garden felt so powerful to me as a stay-at-home mom that doesn't really have a lot of influence over the money that comes in, but to have so much control over the money that goes out. You want to be home with your little kids. You want to be involved in your life in their lives rather than handing them off to somebody else to take care of them. And so these little teeny things help so much.
Melanie said something in one of your episodes and I loved it. She said that she can save her husband more money than she could probably bring in. And I love that. That was, that's it. You know, I can save my husband a lot of money by the way that we live, the way we consume, or how we decide not to consume. So that's kind of, you know, what my take is. I try to save my husband money by the way we live life. But at the same time, I want to make sure we're still living life. I don't want to put life on hold for anything. Back in South Florida, I talked to my brother, and like the fun thing to do is to go to the mall. And I was like, now I'd rather kill myself than go hang out at the mall.
What is your ultimate dream as a family? What's your ultimate dream of animals, occupations? Where do you see yourself in like 5 years if you had a magic wand?
I have 3 goats, Saanens. I'd breed, and I'd be able to sell goat meat. I'd have a bunch of rabbits, and I'd have a rabbit tree. And I would have a dog, and I would have a horse. And
along that note, we talked about this from your 100 Days of Camping video. Is that right?
Yeah.
Our weakness and the thing that just kind of is crushing my soul right now. One of the reasons it's so fun to reach out to other channels that have strengths that I don't have is that our family never gets away. We're so focused on healthy food because of our health problems. We are so desperately in need of having those homegrown things that we never leave the house, and our kids are getting old enough that it's starting to feel a little bit smothering to them, and it's starting to feel a little smothering to me that that they're unhappy with this. And so you were talking earlier about you're a one-income family, so you're it's not like you've hit the jackpot, you have this huge amount of money, and yet you take your family regularly to go do things that are not hugely cost prohibitive, but still cost a little bit of money. So how do you do that?
Okay, so we live where there's quite a few national parks within like, you know, a couple hours in either direction. So we went ahead and we got the, I think it's $80 for the pass. If you didn't spend the $80, it's $25 for each visit. So you're going to want to make sure you use and get your money's worth. The first year we did the pass, someone got it for us as a gift. And we were going to check out and see if we would actually use it. We wound up going 10 times, so it definitely paid for itself. And we're close enough to Yellowstone where we can do a day trip, go there and not have to spend the night, and then make it back home. We're really flat out tired when we come home, but we can still do it. And we make all of our food before we go. We don't buy any food. The last time we went, was it the last time we went to Yellowstone? We took Mama and Mr. David?
No, the time before last.
The time before last. We took 2 non-campers with us, and one of them was my mom and a friend of my husband's. And we don't eat very much when we go outdoors. And my husband's friend was like, "You guys are trying to starve me." He thought we'd taken him out into the wilderness to starve him to death and kill him. But we we pack lots of yogurts, and I make homemade granola, and we'll bring drinks.
Right.
You know, for whatever we were going to eat at home, we pack it with us.
So how do you budget to be able? I know it's only a 2-hour drive and 2 hour drives back, but it still costs gas. Is there anything special that you do to budget for those trips?
Well, we don't have cable. We don't pay for our internet. Internet was gifted to us because my husband's family lives in Australia, and the only way for them to get to see their grandkids is if they had Skype. So we we took money from my in-laws, you know, to get that paid for. But we say no to certain things. You know, I've got this homeschool group that I'm part of, and every week it's like, want to do this activity? It's only $10. Want to do this activity? It's $20. Want to do this? And the answer is always no. We schedule out our summer, so everything's scheduled, and when things in between want to pop up, we say no, because this is what we have scheduled, this is what we have planned. We try to be a little relaxed, especially if people want to join us. As far as the scheduling, we can switch out one weekend, but we know for this summer we want to camp 4 times, and we'll schedule that into our, or we'll budget that into our budget, and do the best that we can and try to cut back in other areas because this is something that's important to us. Again, back to the reluctant spouse. Camping is something that my husband really, really enjoys. And I can't expect him to want to go whole hog into homesteading if I don't relinquish and compromise and want to do some of the things that he enjoys to do.
Loved everything we talked about. Do you have anything else you want to add in?
Sure. About the unplugging, I think one of the questions was why we unplug. When we did the internet free week, I did. My husband didn't, but I noticed I was less snippy. I didn't anger as easily, and then also when my husband and I were both off the internet, we did. He joined in when we did the Power Free Day. He really enjoyed that. But we had so much more patience for one another. We were more loving towards one another. And it was just like, wow, if the internet has the power to deteriorate our relationship, then it's not that important. It's just not. I was like, what we should do is have a little notepad and then write down what it is that we need to do when we get back on the internet tomorrow, and then do those things. And once we're done with those things, bam, computer needs to go off.
Yeah, I gave birth, and yet
right.
I don't have the strength to turn off the power on my computer.
Right. And once your checklist is all checked and you find yourself still on the internet, you've got to question your sanity.
I saw that one. I saw. You are going to be the big face. Just so you know, you will be the one who is I always feel I get so close up that people can see into my nose, which I feel uncomfortable with. So I want to just warn you that that's what everybody's going to see, is you are going to be close and you're beautiful. So it's all perfect. But just so you're not uncomfortable when it does actually come up on my channel, that I'm very small and you're larger than life.
Okay. Okay. We just need to turn our hearing aids up so we can hear each other.
It's always so much easier to do these interviews in person. I'm always worried something's going to glitch out, so I always get just a little bit as we go into it. But once we start talking, it'll be fine. Out there too, like they're one of the